Welcome to the Weekly Roar, coming live from the Lion's Den, helping new managers become great leaders and awesome bosses. And now, here's your host, Greg Storch.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lion's Den. This is the Weekly Roar! Last week, we kicked off a leadership lessons mini-series where I'm sharing the recap of 2 lessons learned each week from my last series, Lessons Learned in Leadership. Since that series started well over 6 months ago, I wanted to go back over those lessons in a Reader's Digest fashion and bring back the highlights for you to keep those lessons fresh in your mind. So this week, we're rewinding the clock again and going back to October, November of 2020, and we're talking about lessons 3 and 4. Now, before we jump into that, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Greg Storch, owner of Lion Enterprise, host of the Weekly Roar, and the founder of a worldwide bartered coaching program called The Helping Hand. I'm a certified professional leadership coach and a certified leadership speaker and trainer. As a friendly reminder, you can always find all of my video resources on my website at lion-enterprise.com. Just look for the Lion's Pride library and check them all out. Okay, let's get started with the third lesson that I shared with you, and I called this one, When Critical Choices Become Our Defining Moments. Now, what that lesson was all about was the importance of recognizing those moments that define us. The choices we make in critical moments help to form us and inform others about who we really are. If you take a stroll down memory lane, I'm pretty sure you can identify many times that when critical moments presented themselves to you, the choices you made in those moments helped define and shape the person you are today. Now, I shared one of my defining moments with you, and that was serving in the Navy. But during that lesson learned in leadership, I made it a point to differentiate the decision from the action. The defining moment wasn't the action of me serving in the Navy. It was the point at which I was faced with the decision to either serve my country or go to college. When it comes to leadership, the one thing that contributes to our success as leaders, the thing that determines whether a leader will rise up to the challenge before them, is how they handle certain critical moments in their lives. The other important thing I shared with you that week in the Lion's Den was that most people don't stop to reflect on those critical moments in their lives, and that's where all the value is in those moments. I shared with you the 3 reasons why defining moments are such important events for us. The first reason was because defining moments show us our true selves. The example I used to illustrate this point was taking a look back at the start of the pandemic, COVID-19. I was able to find a few defining moments as we faced many challenges in the beginning months. For you, maybe it was looking back at a time you failed at something or a time when you took a stand for something you're passionate about. Sometimes we can clearly see the importance of our actions in the moment, while other times we don't see them for what they really are. But whether you're aware at the time of the moment or not, those defining moments have a way of introducing us to ourselves. Now, the second reason why defining moments are so important to us was because the choices we make at that time has a way of revealing who we truly are to others. Defining moments have a way of stripping everything away and revealing the true you. These moments, these critical times shine a spotlight on us, and when it comes to our leadership, they tell our followers what they want to know about us. It lets them know who we are and what we stand for. When I said that defining moments define our leadership, I meant that leaders who handle those moments well instill confidence and strengthen their bonds. On the other hand, if handled poorly, those same defining moments can remove all credibility of the leader and end their ability to lead others. There should be no doubt in your mind that our defining moments not only impact who we are, but they also can have a dramatic effect on those we lead. It's the difference between winning and losing, and that's why defining moments can reveal our true selves to others. And then I shared the third reason why defining moments can be so important to us. I told you that defining moments also play a critical role in defining who we'll become. I explained the reason was because we're never the same after we've experienced a defining moment. The way we respond to that event and the choices we make place us on a completely new path. And after we've committed to the choice we've made, we become somebody different. The challenge, though, with defining moments is that we don't get to pick them. We can't conveniently schedule them on our calendars and prepare for their arrival. However, we can choose how we'll handle them when they do show up, and we can actually take some steps to prepare for when they do. And that's when I shared how to better prepare for that unannounced defining moment. And I said that one of the ways was to practice the art of reflection. One of our greatest teachers is not just experience, but experience that we take time to reflect upon. Now, I shared my story about my previous marriage ending and how that defining moment was when I was faced with beginning a new relationship. Now, making that critical decision has resulted in a relationship that started 21 years ago. Then, the second tip I gave to help prepare better for those defining moments was to decide how you want to show up. Deciding how we want to show up in terms of attitude, values, priorities, whatever, allows us to make major choices ahead of time. So you aren't making them during the time you're faced with making that critical choice. And what that does is it allows us to focus on the situation at hand and to make our decisions based on those things that we've already decided upon. Now, I wrapped that lesson up on defining moments by sharing this thought. Not all defining moments are dramatic events that happen early in life or early in our leadership. We don't need a lot of them to achieve dramatic results. All it takes is just one to make a huge difference. Leaders who consistently make good choices during critical moments and who try to always do things that will benefit their people in those very moments will continually redefine, grow, and improve their leadership. And when leaders do that, everybody wins. Okay, and then in the following week in the Lion's Den, I shared the fourth lesson learned in leadership, and I called that episode Haters Gonna Hate. You remember that one? That lesson was about one of the harsher realities of always being out in front, always being a leader. And it's that we're always being watched. When you're in the lead, you attract attention. And sometimes that attention will come in the form of criticism. So I shared the example of horse races like the Kentucky Derby. When we go to these races, all eyes are fixed on that one horse that's out in the lead. It's just human nature for others to pay close attention to those out in front. There aren't many people spending their time watching the ones who aren't even in the picture. Now, to reinforce this thought, I used the example of Usain Bolt, the 2008 Olympic gold medalist in the 100-meter dash. He holds the world record in it. There's a lot of people who know that name because of his achievements. He's a winner. He's always out in front, literally. Well, then I mentioned the name Darvis Patton. He was the guy who came in last in that race in the Olympics. Still fast as hell, but he wasn't the front runner. See, nobody ever pays attention to the racers who are out of contention. That's the way it is for leaders as well. When you're out in front, there is always someone standing by, watching, just waiting to take a stab. And that led me into a discussion about criticism and how nobody really likes to be criticized. It just has a negative connotation to it. But the thing is, we all need criticism. Although we're generally drawn to like-minded people, the ones who disagree with us are really the ones who help us grow, the ones who call us out, point out our weaknesses and our flaws. It's the ones who challenge us that make us better. And because I believe that's true, I shared 4 things that help hold us up and help us to do better when it comes to dealing with criticism. And the first thing was that helps us to deal with the criticism is the importance of knowing yourself and having a realistic view of who you are. See, a lot of times the criticism we receive as leaders isn't about us personally. It's about the position we hold. And when we have a realistic view of who we really are, then we have a better chance to understand the difference between the two and which one of them is the thing that's drawing the criticism. And that can also help us not take things personally, especially when the criticism is about the position. I also added that whenever you are being criticized as the leader and not the position you hold, it will help to remember that your critics are actually offering you a very valuable service. What they're doing is helping you to know yourself better. Sometimes what we want to hear least is what we need to hear most. The second thing I shared that can help us deal with criticism is to take action. When we receive criticism that's accurate, we have a responsibility to do something about it. And that's what good leaders do. People can change for the better when they're open to improving themselves. We do that when we can respond correctly to people's criticism, admitting our shortcomings and taking action to make the necessary changes to get better. Then the third thing I shared that can help us deal with criticism was to accept yourself. When you know who you are and you can be your true self, it allows you to be the best leader and the best person that you can be. Accepting yourself shows a sign of maturity. You don't worry about others' opinions. If you worry about what other people think about you, it's because you have more confidence in their opinion than you have of your own. Remember, real confidence in ourselves and our leadership comes from knowing and accepting ourselves without relying on the affirmation of others. Then the last thing I shared to help make it easier to deal with criticism was to shift the focus away from yourself. I told you that in order to effectively handle criticism, you're going to have to stop focusing on yourself. And to do that, you have to be secure in yourself. Secure people can shift their focus off of themselves in order to focus on others. And when we do that, we can face just about any kind of criticism. Being secure in who we are and focusing on others will give us the strength to take the high road with people. And while we must take our responsibilities as leaders seriously, we have to be careful not to take ourselves too seriously. Now, I wrapped up this fourth item with a reminder to forget about focusing solely on yourself and value others, regardless of their opinion of you. Remember, what other people think of you is none of your business. Try hard not to worry about what others think of you. I think people spend way too much of their time concerned about other people's opinions of them. But honestly, nobody's really giving it that much thought. With that said, I shared this final quote from Zig Ziglar that said, "Don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only taste of success some people have is when they take a bite out of you." Well, there you have it, you guys. A recap of the third and fourth lessons learned in leadership. The importance of critical choices and defining moments, and how to handle our critics when we're leading from the front. Now, if you want to keep running to the roar, then join me next week as I continue these micro lessons in review and recap the fifth and sixth lessons learned in leadership. All you have to do is just come on back to the Lion's Den next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, everybody, for supporting me and watching the Weekly Roar today. I appreciate you. Until we meet again next Wednesday, remember, be powerful, but stay poised just like a lion. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Weekly Roar live event at lionenterprise.com. If you enjoyed this video, please tell others to join us each week here in the Lion's Den. Thanks again, and see you next week.